Let's take a look at the CONCACAF Champions Cup draw, which took place on Wednesday. They got an expanded format this year, 27 teams, up from 16 a year ago. There's a few teams that went directly into the round of 16, but let's go over some of the round one matchups, because there's some good ones. Philadelphia Union against Saprissa. We got Toluca against Herediano. Futbol Americas against Real Esteli out of Nicaragua. We got Chivas against Forge out of the Canadian Premier League. New England Revolution playing aside from Panama. And then there you see the three teams that are through to the round of 16 on that side of the bracket. Among them, our good friends Robin Hood from down in Suriname. Other side of the bracket, your round one matchups. The all-MLS affair between Houston and St. Louis. We got Tigres against Vancouver, MLS versus Liga MX. MLS versus Canadian Premier League, Orlando against Cavalry, Rayados against Comunicaciones out of Guatemala, Cincy against Cavalier out of Jamaica, and Nashville against Mocha out of the Dominican Republic. Columbus and Inter Miami through to the round of 16 on this side of the bracket. All right, Herc, a lot to unpack there. Your first reaction as you see the draw for the 2024 CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Well, there's obviously one side of the bracket that you'd say, whoa, it's very heavy, lot of talented teams, and in the early crossovers, you want to see good teams play against each other. You want to see these rivalry games, be natural. And I'm not saying they're not natural, but I'm not used to seeing them in the CONCACAF Champions Cup or in the CONCACAF Champions League. It's the CONCACAF Champions Cup now, so I'll call it that. I'm not used to seeing a potential round of 16 matchup, Clásico Nacional, América Chivas. That's insane. I'm not used to seeing a potential, knockout round game between a Tigres versus Columbus, MLS champion versus Liga MX champion right away. I'm not used to seeing something that could be Tigres Monterrey before you get even, it's enticing matchups along the way. But I was very, very, just kind of, what's the word? It's not distraught, but I was very taken aback by the power on one side of the bracket.
Yeah, there's definitely a easy path versus hard path. And I think we'll get into that a little bit more in our next topic, because it affects Inter Miami and Lionel Messi specifically for once they end up kind of on the harder side of the bracket. The Club America Chivas matchup, potentially in the round of 16, is tantalizing.
Yes.
You love that from a tournament organizer perspective. As a fan of one of those teams, I think you don't really want to see that in a round of 16.
No.
You might like to see that in a semifinal or a final. It feels worthy of a much bigger affair. But I think that's going to be a huge potential draw. You look at the matchups for both those: Real Esteli out of Nicaragua, Forge out of the Canadian Premier League. Chivas and Club America are going to be massive favorites. One thing that jumped out to me here, and obviously it goes hand in hand with the expanded field, but there are just so many MLS teams, Herc. There's 10 of the 27 teams here are from MLS. If you think about it from the other Champions Leagues, like think about it, the UEFA Champions League, the top 4 from England goal. You don't get the top 10 from Major League Soccer. Do we need 10 MLS teams to decide the continental champion? Is this league really that deep?
And especially when none of those 10 MLS teams are Seattle or LA. None of them are Seattle or LAFC, which I would say are some of the top teams in Major League Soccer. So what are you doing here? That's the way the CONCACAF negotiated for Leagues Cup, and that's why you're getting the third place. That's why that game between Philadelphia Union and Monterrey, as insignificant of a third place game as it was to some people, it wasn't, because there's a spot on the line. That's how Philly got here. But I agree with you. When you have a New England Revolution coming into this, who won nothing last year, who were an embarrassment last year, and don't even get me started in the Bruce Arena situation and how he's being reinstated, are now in the CONCACAF Champions Cup because of it. I don't know.
Of those round one matchups, Herc, is there anyone where you see a Liga MX or MLS side that should be nervous? To me, the one that jumps off the page is Philly against Saprissa. A little bit of that is just history because it's Saprissa. I respect the Philadelphia Union, but if there's one of those kind of non-MLS Liga MX teams you don't want to see in this competition, it would be that one for me. What about you?
Same. I've played in San Jose against Saprissa. It's no picnic, if you will. It's definitely a difficult venue to play at. By no means will it be easy for Philly.
Speaking of not going to be easy, things are not going to be easy. For once, for Inter Miami here in this CONCACAF Champions Cup. Let's talk about that side of the bracket, Herc, because it truly feels here like the organizers did Lionel Messi no favors.
Yeah, let me very quickly, before I talk about this tournament, just said the organizers did Leo Messi no favors. How about whoever scheduled Inter Miami's just schedule the whole season, or preseason, if you will, because they're about to start preseason in like mid-January, and they're going to be in 4 games in El Salvador, 2 in Saudi Arabia, 1 against Cristiano Ronaldo and his team, and they're going to go to Hong Kong, and then they're going to come back, and they're going to play a little bit of MLS before they do the Champions League, and it's going to go nonstop. The final ends the first week of June, and then, by the way, he may have like 10 days to rest up before he's got to go to Copa America, which he's already said to himself that the most important thing in his world is national team. So the whole thing is out of whack when it comes to the schedule, but when it comes to how difficult it is, for a second, they're going to wait to see who the winner is. It'll probably, if you will, Nashville, okay? Nashville SC, who was their finalist, their rival in the final of Leagues Cup. That's how they got here. That's how Messi and friends got to this competition. They'll face that. After that, they'll go against a winner in Cincy, FC Cincinnati, and Monterrey, Rayados de Monterrey. No easy game there. And then you're going to face a potential winner of Tigres versus Columbus. Liga MX champions versus MLS champion. And then when you go off of that, you're going to face the other side of the bracket, whoever is that winner on the other side of the bracket. It's no picnic for Messi and friends. And sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we start saying, this is planned, this was done this way. I can't imagine CONCACAF themselves said, let's make it so different or so difficult. Let's make it so difficult for this team, for Messi's team, to make it to the final. There is no more difficult road than that side of the bracket, and for Leo Messi.
Yeah, I'm looking at the matchups. You're right. It could be Crew. It could be Tigres. It could even be Orlando in that game after the potential Cincinnati or Rayados showdown. I mean, it's just a murderer's row there. Having looked at the bracket now, having looked at the draw, real quickly, do you have an early favorite in this tournament?
No, I don't have an early favorite because I keep thinking all the powers on that side. All powers on Inter Miami side, on Tigres side, on Rayados side. I'm going to say the winner comes out of this side of the bracket, but I don't have an early favorite.
You can't give me you can't pick one of those teams? You can't even go with your beloved Tigres?
You're right, I'll go with Tigres.
There it is. There it is. Herculez Gomez, as always.
Who's your favorite?
Not Futbol Americas.
Who's your favorite?
Teletigres.
Who's your favorite?
Hey, America, obviously. I mean, I like the side of the bracket that they're on. They're going to beat Chivas in the round of 16. Bish, bash, bosh. We know that won't be any problem.
Oh, they better beat Chivas, because that would be embarrassing if your early winner pick didn't get out of the round of 16.
Oh, what a story that would be. Absolutely cannot wait for the 2024 CONCACAF Champions Cup.